What if the greatest empire in human history didn't fall because of barbarian invasions or economic collapse, but because it abandoned the philosophy that built it? For over 2 centuries, Rome was guided by Stoic emperors who believed that true strength came not from conquering others, but from conquering yourself. Then something changed. The last philosopher-emperor died, and with him, the soul of Rome itself. The story begins with Marcus Aurelius, writing his private thoughts while camped on the freezing Danube frontier in 1070 AD. These weren't meant to be published. They were the intimate meditations of a man trying to live by Stoic principles while bearing the weight of an empire. 4 of them were deeply influenced by Stoicism. They believed that leadership meant service, that power was a burden to be carried with wisdom. Where his father saw leadership as a burden, Commodus saw it as a playground. Where Stoicism taught self-discipline, Commodus embraced excess. He famously fought as a gladiator not to understand the common people, but to feed his own ego. He renamed months of the year after himself and declared himself a living god. When you stop believing that power is responsibility, when you start thinking you're above the natural order, when you lose the discipline to control yourself, everything else follows. And that the empire existed to serve humanity, not the other way around. Stoicism teaches that we are all connected, that the emperor serves the empire, not the reverse. Commodus turned this upside down. Under his rule, the empire existed to serve him. Even emperors, he believed, had to earn their humanity through service to others. It was the abandonment of the principles that had built the empire in the first place. The philosopher-emperors were gone, and with them, the idea that true power comes from mastering yourself before you try to master the world. When Rome stopped being Stoic, it stopped being Roman. They focused obsessively on virtue, on rational decision-making, on accepting what they could not control, while taking full responsibility for what they could. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What injures the hive, injures the bee." Commodus sold government positions to the highest bidder. Marcus Aurelius believed that death was natural and nothing to fear. Commodus lived in constant paranoia, eventually murdered by his own bodyguards. They fall because they lose the internal discipline that made them strong in the first place. Rome's legions were still powerful when Commodus died. Their economy was still vast. Their technology was still advanced. But they had lost something more important, the philosophical foundation that taught them how to use power wisely. This created a feedback loop of stability and prosperity that lasted for generations. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." How many see their power as a burden rather than a privilege? How many focus on controlling themselves before trying to control others? This wasn't just philosophy, it was the operating system of Roman leadership. But Marcus Aurelius represented the end of something extraordinary. For nearly 200 years, from Nerva to Marcus Aurelius, Rome was ruled by what historians call the 5 good emperors. Stoicism wasn't just their personal philosophy, it was Rome's secret weapon. When Hadrian built his famous wall across Britain, he didn't do it to show off Roman power. He did it because Stoicism taught that true strength means knowing your limits. When Antoninus Pius ruled for 23 years without starting a single war, he wasn't being weak. He was applying the Stoic principle that the greatest victory is the one that doesn't need to be fought. The Stoics understood something that modern empires often forget. External expansion without internal discipline leads to collapse. Then came Commodus, the son of Marcus Aurelius. Everything changed. This wasn't just bad leadership, it was the philosophical opposite of everything that had made Rome great. The contrast is staggering. But here's the deeper insight. Commodus wasn't just a bad emperor. He was the inevitable result of abandoning Stoic principles. The parallels to modern politics are impossible to ignore. How many leaders today practice anything resembling the Stoic virtues? The Stoic emperors understood that empires don't fall because of external enemies. This is the hidden lesson of Rome's decline. It wasn't barbarians at the gates that brought down the empire, Marcus Aurelius wrote in his final meditation at dawn when you have trouble getting out of bed. Tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. The Roman Empire lasted another 300 years after Marcus Aurelius, but it was never the same. If you enjoyed exploring this idea, subscribe for more echoes of the past that shape our present.